I decided to reread the Grisha Trilogy. I probably should not reread this and just go ahead to read Six of Crows. The thing is, I do not know which books the show is going to cover, and I don't know how much changes are going to happen, but I kind of wanted to experience the world again. Kind of really wanted to assess my feelings about Alina and Mal and the Darkling and Ivan right before I watched the series. I have gotten to page 60. The first time I did find her writing a little cumbersome. It's not that bad, but it's not that good either. Like, it's not terrible, but it's also like interesting thing that I had to tab off. I think when Alexi was asking her how she knew Mal, and she was like, we grew up together. Alexi clocked it. He was like, you don't seem to have much in common. Yes, Alexi, facts. And I was like, foreshadowing to how terrible their relationship is. And Leigh Bardugo was very self-aware of that, or at least this book was self-aware. The book was self-aware. And another thing that kind of solidified the whole situation, Mal had never looked at me the way he looked at that girl, or even the way he looked at Ruby. And he never would. But the fact that we were still friends was more important than any of that. It's right here. It's right here. Leigh Bardugo wrote it herself. It's right here. I'm assuming the publishers might have been like, can we put them in a relationship together? Can we have them bumping chests, bumping bodies? I still do like the idea of like unrequited love for Alina, but also like, I am at page 232. Like, a lot of the writing in this book, how she's telling the story, it could be conveyed a lot more efficiently. I think some of the problem with this book is I feel like it was trying to be beautifully prose written, and that kind of got in the way of like just telling a more efficient, more pared down story that would have had more of an impact. But my only other issue, which is a big deal with the writing, something would happen, like it would just be shown to us, and then we do still get like an explanation. It's kind of reiterated. Like, there was one scene where one of the guards or whatever that's like guarding them as they're on their way to Os Alta, he's saying something, mid-sentence he gets shot. Alina felt the need to say, he didn't get the rest of the words out. It happened quite a few times. It kind of kills the momentum of the story. Sometimes when I read these things and I feel like, ooh, this could have been done better, I feel like, can somebody rewrite the book? Like, do all the improvements, make it better? Because, like, it's a good story. It's just, it could be jazzed up. But so far, I'm enjoying it. I'm close to the end. I got a few more pages. I could kill that off today and move on to Siege and Storm. I remember going into it, I know a lot of people said that is their least favorite. They didn't like it. But I don't know, I like the characters, I like the action, I liked how the plot moved along in that story. This one was a cute little setup, but Siege and Storm really kind of took us on a nice adventure. Then we gonna see how I feel about Ruin and Rising again, because I felt like it was going fine, and then like, I don't know, something just happened. It just felt like out of the blue just happened, and then I was just sour to the rest of the book. Like, oh my god, really? We gonna see how I feel about it, because I'm looking forward to getting back to Ruin and Rising, so I can see how I really feel about that, because that time, I am at page 248, and a lot of stuff is going down, some revelations are happening. One thing I realized in reading like this scene that I just read, as much as Alina is a teenager, she's 16, it was just irritating when she's like talking to Bagra, and Bagra's like telling her like, yo, it's grave danger right now. And she's just like, no, you're being silly. Oh my gosh, you're so stupid. Why are you being so silly? Like, come on, let's go do the thing. You know, let's go do that. Let's go do it. You know, it's like, and Bagra's sounding like, bitch, this is serious. And I'm like, girl, why is it not clicking? Why is it not clicking for you yet? Why 2 not getting together? 2 and 2 is making a clown for you. Sis, why are you being a clown? Girl, so you're just not, like, I mean, I get it, you're 16, but also, like, come on. It's just not registering, it's not clicking. How is it not clicking, like, faster? Like, but, you know what, I don't know. That's just Alina. I've completed Shadow and Bone. There was one part, the last little tab that I left in here that I felt mattered. What did Mal say? They were, like, trying to get the stag, and Mal, he was talking about when he and Alina were, like, apart. I missed you every hour. And you know what the worst part was? It caught me completely by surprise. I'd catch myself walking around to find you, not for any reason, just out of habit, because I'd seen something that I wanted to tell you about, or because I wanted to hear your voice. And then I realized you weren't there anymore. And every time, every single time, it was like having the wind knocked out of me. I'd risk my life for you. I'd walk half the length of Ravka for you, and I'd do it again and again and again just to be with you, just to starve with you and freeze with you and hear you complain. The second part sounded like lies because from the time he said, it caught me completely by surprise. I was like, I I don't know, I guess that happens to people. They grown up with somebody and then they realize after not being with them for so long, oh my gosh, I really like this person. Wow, that caught me by surprise. That felt a little insulting. That felt like, because if you've been watching Married at First Sight, that feels as insulting as Chris and Paige when Chris is like telling her like, yo, I'm starting to grow attracted to you. Like at first he was like, oh girl, you're not my type, you don't look like a trophy wife, you're ugly. That's kind of basically what that sounded like. And now all of a sudden he's just like, ooh, that caught me by surprise. I was not expecting to like you because I really, I'm going in on their relationship. I stayed going in on their relationship. This was a stupid relationship. I hate it. I hate that they were trying to like make them like lovers and it was just nah. I prefer they just be brother and sister. Like they just like whether biological or they just kind of like have this found family brother sister thing. I started Siege and Storm today. I got up to like 18 pages, 19 pages. This feels like a slow start, and I think this book is more pages. Yeah, this is like 432 of the story, and this one was like 353 pages of the story, so this one's a little thicker. So I'm looking forward to finishing this, and hopefully I can finish it quickly and enjoyably, but ooh, girl, she was a slow start. Here are some moments that I tabbed off that I thought were good takeaways from the book that I enjoyed. I remember I loved this the first time I read the book, was when Nikolai and Alina were talking like by the lake. Like, because I like their conversation so much. When Nikolai turned to Alina and was like, I want to kiss you, I felt like in a way that was asking for consent. The thing I loved even more about this moment was when Nikolai says, I want to kiss you, but I won't. Not until you're thinking of me instead of trying to forget him. I love that moment so much because she's all like, oh, you already kissed me. And he was like, no, but I want to kiss you again. And she was like, oh, and she was all breathless. And she was like, oh my gosh, his lips are so close. And it was almost kind of like, she was like, oh my gosh, kiss me. And he was just looking at her like, I want to kiss you, but not until you stop thinking about homeboy over there. Like, he not even all that. Like, I'm Nikolai. Like, fuck you mean. But you know, I'm gonna let you get that out your system first because I want you to be thinking about me and only me. I was like, oh, come with Nikolai, get your life. Like, bring her down a little bit, get her off this Mal pedestal, or like knock Mal off the pedestal that she's putting him on, because seriously, he's not the one, girl. Nikolai was like the best part of this book. Like he was just so interesting. Like we could have given him the lead and let Alina just like stay on the sidelines. Like, girl, we don't care, girl. We're here for Nikolai because he's quite more interesting. He's had more adventure. He has like more confidence, more self-confidence. Like there's so much more great things going for him. He's not perfect, but at the same time, he's also like more charismatic and more engaging. But then again, does Alina even deserve Nikolai? Like, it feels like she doesn't. So he was right to curve her. And with the theme of like calls to like, it was just given pure law of attraction tease, because from what I've been learning from law of attraction, it's like you have to become what you want to attract. So basically like the whole like calls to like is very much you are this thing and you call something similar to you or that complements you. There was on page 419, like calls to like. I'd sensed it when the hummingbird entered the unsea, but I'd been too afraid to embrace it. This time I didn't fight. I let go of my fear, my guilt, my shame. There was darkness inside me. He had put it in there. I would no longer deny it. That had me thinking about like law of attraction, but it also had me thinking about like shadow work, and I feel like law of attraction and shadow work kind of go together, which is interesting because this book deals with a lot of shadows. It made me think of like when you do your shadow work, you let go of a lot of guilt and shame about who you really are and loving yourself as you are. So then in loving yourself as you are, you become more of who you need to be to attract what you need to attract into your life. The things that really complement compliment you and connect with you. And I do feel like one of the, I guess, underlying themes of the story is facing your fear, not like hiding your light. But I feel like some of that gets a little lost in this unnecessary romance and some of these exhausting conversations. Like, it's in there, it's embedded, but you're kind of exhausted by all the other superfluous aspects of the story. The themes could have come through a lot better with just a lot more finesse. But I get it, it's her first series. I just finished reading Siege and Storm. Walking away from the book, I'm wondering, like, what was I thinking when I, like, read this the first time? I think when I went into it the first time, my expectations were low, so I kind of still enjoyed it a lot. But now I'm like, girl, I don't know about this book right now. I feel like she could have cut down some of these conversations. Just hit the plot points, hit the action, hit the important stuff. Don't give me this Mal and Alina relationship. I don't care because you didn't develop Mal enough for me to care about him. How I see him in my head is like a more buff looking Bobby Burns, but just, I guess, not as interesting as Bobby Burns. But seriously though, like, I was mixing this up with Ruin and Rising, and I realized I kept remembering scenes from Ruin and Rising, and I thought it was a part of this book, but it wasn't. That's a testament to how unnecessary this book was, because I felt like, oh my gosh, so much of the stuff that happened in Ruin and Rising should have been happening in this book. Honestly, so much of this could have been cut. So much action happened, and then it's like you have these long portions of journeying, and I get the idea of like showing how long the journey was along the Vi, but some of those conversations that happened in the Vi, they just felt extra and exhausting to read. Some of them I didn't care about. I was perked up for the moments when I got new information about what's gonna happen next. And then when they started talking about Mal, it had a few times in here because I remembered from the first time. I didn't skip over some of those Mal and Alina relationship conversations because those were draining. So I skipped over those, probably skipped a page or two and was like, skimmed over it, be like, don't need to read all this. This is none of my business. I already know for Ruin and Rising, there is at least 2 or 3 pages where it's just like them having a conversation about their feelings and their relationship that's like stupid, and them having sex, and it was just kind of like, I don't care because that sounds gross, the two of you having sex. Why it sounds gross? Because it feels like you're a brother and sister, so it just feels incestuous at this point. I don't like it. I don't like your relationship. It's not worth it. It wasn't developed enough for me to care about y'all romantically. Y'all not blood related, but it just still feels like, you shouldn't be hooking up with your stepbrother, girl. Like, why are you trying to be the Brady Bunch right now? Why are you trying to be Marsha and, what is it? I want to call him Barry, but it's not Barry. It's not Greg either. I forgot his name, but the oldest brother and Marsha were hooking up in the Brady Bunch movie. But that's besides the point. I don't want that. I don't want to see it. It's not cute. It's not the move. I'm not interested. It had some really good moments, like the mirror laser. That was fun. And then being able to fly over with the Kingfisher. But yeah, a lot of this could have been cut. A lot of the conversations could have been cut down. Some of it I almost feel like she could have told us instead of showed us, instead of having us go through these conversations. Because I'm just like, oh my gosh, when's this conversation gonna be over? The only conversations I really liked were the ones with Nikolai, because the conversations with Nikolai were actually very, like, engaging, entertaining. Like, he had a personality. He may not have been the funniest, but he was still very, like, lighthearted. You can trust him, but it was like you weren't dear to him, there was charm to him. Every time, like, Alina keeps tining over Mal, you're just like, I don't get it, why? Just because you grew up with, girl, whatever, anyway, I guess. I don't know, I don't get it. Not interested. I feel like the first time you read it, because you don't know where the story is going and what's gonna happen, it's intriguing. So it's like any information that you get from here, any character development, any connections, whatever, you kind of soak it up and it's engaging and entertaining. But then when you read it a second time, you're like, girl, why? You could have kept this. That felt more like a fan fiction project for you. It was not about us. I'm about to start this. This is gonna be fun. It's got a cute little mountain set I'm excited about reading. I'm gonna see how I feel about this time around. I'm really looking forward to that little twist, because there was a moment at coming close to the end of Siege and Storm where Mal grabbed Alina's hand and she said, "A shock passed through me. Through the haze of blood and shadow, I glimpsed something beautiful as if through a golden door. This golden door, I want to know more about that exactly, because I think that plays a part into the twist now that I read it and knowing what the twist is. But I also feel like this still doesn't explain why that twist happened, because I feel like this book never explained why that twist made sense. So we gonna see what is given when I read this. I'm gonna stay vigilant and see if was I tripping about the twist? Because I feel like people talk about this book and they're like, it was good, blah blah blah. But I'm just still like, how can y'all say that? It didn't make sense to me. It just felt like it came out of the blue and it was never explained. It's just a thing that happened where I'm just supposed to go along with it. I'm like, bitch, I was looking for this bitch. I was looking for this bitch. That's what I was looking for. And then you're telling me that this bitch don't matter? Like, come on now. Rude. I'm sure this will go faster than this one because this book is long, which is ridiculous. This is like the middle book. This is almost like the least necessary book. I feel like you could have just abridged this and you'll be fine. Just like keep all the necessary portions and cut some of the conversation. You could take half of it and put it at the end of Shadow and Bone, and then take the other half and put it at the beginning of Ruin and Rising, and you're fine. I just realized something about Ruin and Rising, that we just had like a little cult moment. Like, it's explicitly stated cult here, but also like it was giving cult authenticity, cult tease, cult realness. It was just like, signs of being in a cult. I enjoyed that little moment. I just had to come say that. I am at page 323. I just finished reading the twist or whatever. I don't know. I didn't like it even on the second go round. I understood it better now. Yeah, fuck it. At this point, fuck it. Mal was basically the third amplifier. And I was just like, girl, how? On the reread, I kind of saw the little context clues, and then she kind of explained it. All those moments when they got the other amplifiers, the only reason why they reveal themselves is because the two of them kissed. You know what? It just made me more annoyed, and it made me just hate their relationship even more. She kept talking about like that time at the banya. They had a moment, I guess, and all of a sudden she felt the power with Mal and at the banya, and she kept talking about the banya at this point, and I was like, girl, I don't remember what happened at the banya. That was real irrelevant, or it didn't make a mark. It just wasn't memorable. So I'm like, why you keep bringing up the banya if you're not, because you've already rehashed some of the same things from before over and over again a few times. And then all this rumination and that's another thing, all the rumination that Alina's been doing in this book, it is draining. It feels like this is not the time for you to be like in your head like this. Get out. It takes away from the punch of the story. But in all of that, I decided to Google to try and figure out where this Banya scene happened. And I stumbled across that Tor, the publishing company, tor.com. I guess they did back in 2017 a reread of the Grisha Trilogy, a review of it, of like each book, every like going to chapter by chapter, and they kind of gave like a summary of all the chapters and stuff. I could have read their entire summary and gotten the story better than done a lot of what happened here, because it's like the first time I enjoyed the series, she was like a 3, she was just like mid. This time it's just like I'm reading it, and I think I'm reading it more critically. And that's the thing, that's one thing I've realized. The first time you read it, it's like you're reading for the mystery and for figuring stuff out. This time, reading it, knowing what most of the answers are and where the story's going, you just kind of see all the like parts where you're just like, I'm annoyed with this. This is stupid. Why is this here? Take this out. This could have been better. Like, seriously. Siege and Storm didn't need to be a book. And we could have gotten a little less in Alina's head and just like let the action keep rolling. Let stuff keep happening and let the story keep going. Make it snappy. Finally, I am done with Ruin and Rising. Finally, I'm done with the Grisha Trilogy. Finally. This is long and draining. This is too much words, too much in Alina's head. Because some of the stuff coming down to the end of the book, some of it was like, I feel like some of this you didn't need to show me though. You could have just told me. But my takeaway from this, I felt like there were some little analogies in there about like being your best self or something. I don't know, I guess something like that. Like basically like, letting your light shine, but at the end of it, she didn't have her light anymore. Everybody else got, so I guess she was supposed to inspire people to let their light shine, which I great message. And you're also supposed to embrace your dark side. Either way, I felt like some of the themes, like the deeper themes and analogies that kind of came out of this book, kind of got lost in the Mal and Alina romance, I think. I feel like there could have been deeper themes of embracing your insecurities and letting your light shine, being able to be who you truly are. And that's the thing, because we're so in Alina's head, Alina felt a little self-centered, and she kind of does a little bit in saying like people are starving and people are it's very people are starving, Kim, but we're not really specifying like who's starving, where they're starving, what are their needs. Like we're not really getting into that. Like come on, like break it down, sis. I get it because she's like the main character. She has to live her main character life. Like yes, but also like girl, you're not even like letting us know what the main deeper issues are with like Ravka. I feel like they're poor and that's it. Now that I think about it, that's lacking in its world building, that we didn't get more of people outside of Os Alta, outside of more privileged living. The final thing I will say walking away from this trilogy reread is that like if you've never read it and you're interested in reading it, go ahead and read it just to kind of experience the world and experience the story and I guess the mystery of it. But if you've read it before and you kind of remember what happened for the most part, I just say go to Tor.com or at least Google Tor.com and Grisha Trilogy. What is it? Reread. It gives you more perspective on the story and the characters and stuff that happened. But this was nah. Thank you for spending your time with me, and I am out this bitch like Fleek. The fuck? Shout out to Peaches.